Please welcome Maria Anhalt, CEO of Elektrobit.
Thank you. I must say this is the coolest location I have spoken so far. Once upon a time I wanted to work for Disney, for Pixar, computer graphics. I never thought I'll be on stage in a movie theater. Okay, software comes first, or software first. Thank you. I'll be sharing a point of view of pure play software company, system and software company for the mobility space, as we all speak about software-defined vehicles. Normally I speak mostly about technology and infrastructure and operating system and things like this. And this time we decided that I would rather speak about what is staying in the way of my clicker. Thank you. Okay, so Capgemini predicts that by the year of 2031, not 10 years, but almost, the percentage of OEMs, car manufacturers, that will base their cars on a common software platform will be 35%. 35% by 2031. All of the vehicle will be based on a common standardized software platform. This is 8 times faster or bigger than what we assumed 4 years ago when I moved from the high-tech industry to the automotive industry. So maybe in a few years it will be more. So to get there, we still need to figure out 3 main challenges. Technology evolutions, and this is where most of the publications, most of the articles, most of the analysts speak about what is about the EE architecture, software complexity, why is it so complex, what's staying in the way. There are 2 more, and this is the war for talent, or the competition for talent. What kind of people do we need? What are those people supposed to do? How do you hire for those people, and who do you need to make the transformation happen? And then the 3rd element is speed. And this is coming now more and more, in particular with the developments in competition with Asia, China, of how much we are getting under pressure with significant speed and significant reduction of the price points. So this is where we also need to improve. Now, for the technology evolution, I will not speak a lot of this because all of you are coming from the automotive space and know that we're coming from these hundreds of individual ECUs, each of them with software on them. The nightmare that has developed in the recent years to integrate and make everything happen, to the challenge of how to define a vehicle networking and vehicle infrastructure, not to mention the vehicle to environment or vehicle to vehicle, and how to design and manage the whole thing. So we're moving to few, whether this is 1, 5, or 3 HPC high-performance computers, and need to design the systems in a different way, and the software in a different way, and the architecture with that. And we're going through the zone architecture for that. And that requires also different software architecture and different approach in the software. But the one thing that is even more important is, rather than the vertical split, it's the horizontal split of how we approach software. Now, by no means I would preach here that a car or a vehicle is a smartphone on wheels. I'm not saying this, it is not. And the difference is the safety requirements and the scalability, the sheer amount of data processing that you need to have in a vehicle, in an environment. But there are still few things that are similar to the high-tech industry or to the smartphone that are applicable for us in the automotive industry. And that implies the way how we develop software, the way how we structure the software, how we design the architectures, as well as enable the business models. Because in a software industry, we would monetize software and the value of the vehicle in a very different way. That is very different from the traditional monetization that grows with amount of vehicles. So if you look at the predictions right now, probably in 2 years from now, we will reach the EV production levels from maybe pre-pandemic situation, and that it grows on a 2.4 CAGR. Yes, we will continue to have a steady economy, but we cannot grow with that. Whereas if you see the explosion of the software and the monetization of the software, and what the analysts predict is a CAGR of 35%. So where is it coming? It's coming from software, from digital business models. And for that, if we look at how the smartphone is organized, there is a different life cycle between the hardware and the software and the platform that is separated. They have different life cycle. And then we have the functions, the applications that are separate. So all three have their own lives and no different separation. And there are probably 3 or 5 core business models. So hardware is still very important. It's a lot of innovation in there. However, if you have a smartphone, and I have 2, I have like state-of-the-art iPhone, I have a very old one, a Samsung. This is from 2016, really a very old smartphone, was state-of-the-art at that time. So far, I have never had a trouble to upload the latest software on it and run it. And hardware is very old. So it is possible in modern Android systems to do this. And this is what we need in the vehicle infrastructure as well. Also the ability to provide a market space, to trade things, to upload things, to open up interfaces, to allow other industry to upload their things and make sure that everything stays current. So for me, the challenge is less of the vertical specialization that will stay for a specific function. It's rather how do we avoid all this spaghetti code and redoing things from scratch again and again. And it's not just reusability of concept and modules, because if every OEM starts to do a platform for every new SOP, yes, you're a little bit faster, but not as fast as you could be if you go in the smartphone industry. And one thing, when I'm being asked, does it work today or doesn't work today? For some OEMs work, they are looking into this space. And what we investigated a few years back, looking into our own data, looking with clients, with analysts, is that there is a huge amount of software in the car, in the vehicle, that is not visible to the end user, to the people who are sitting in the car, who are experiencing the car. We say this is like a non-differentiating software, but be careful, it's non-differentiating for the end user who is sitting in the car. For me, for us, it is, of course, differentiating. And there is a software that you experience, be it on the ADAS systems, be it in the infotainment space, where you know this is a trademark. You make a difference, you feel it. Is it a Tesla? Is it a Skoda? Is it something different? And this is a differentiating software. This is where the trademark defines the experience. And if you look at the products versus engineering services, the density of the software for usable elements that are on the left-hand side, on the non-differentiating side, is high. This is where most of the things, not everything, but a lot of things can be standardized, can be reused. A lot of open source software can be used, including of open sourcing of existing systems that are like closed at the moment. Whereas on the differentiating side, things need to be developed what makes sense for a particular user or for a particular brand. This is an example of one of our clients, JLR, and we are not allowed to talk about each and every client, but at least one who is public about this. So we are developing for them the entire software platform, and they decided to standardize for all of the upcoming SOPs. So starting from 2024. And this is their wording of what they say. They were able to raise the operational efficiency. It's a double percentage factor by stepping on the same platform, and scale down significantly the complexity of the issue development, and can move teams and developers across the world in quite a significant way. And we do the software, the security, the tooling, and the integration for them. Then I'd like to move to war of talent or competition of talent. Probably the most difficult things in the automotive industry. I have worked for 20 years in the high-tech industry, and it's amazing how much we need to speak about this. And very often I'm being asked, okay, what is different and why is it so different? Why can't we hire great developers in automotive space versus why are people going to the so-called FANG in the US? This is the Facebooks, the Apples, the Netflix, and the Googles. And when I try to answer this question, sometimes I remind myself some 10, 12 years ago when I was still in the US. I don't know how many of you lived in the US. Does anyone of you knows the commercials between the Mr. Mac and Mr. PC? Have you seen those? At least one. So, and for me, it reminds me of exactly this comparison of what is difference between the two worlds. And be careful, it's a commercial, it's exaggerating, but you will see that a lot of things comply for us. And now that we're in a movie theater.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC. You know, we use a lot of the same kinds of programs.
Yeah, like Microsoft Office.
But we retain a lot of what makes us us.
But you should see what this guy can do with a spreadsheet. It's insane.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, and he knows that I'm better at life stuff, like music, pictures, movies, stuff like that.
Whoa, what exactly do you mean by better?
By better, I mean making a website or photo book is easy for me, and for you, it's not.
Oh, that kind of better.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the other kind.
What other kind? Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
Oh, hey, iPod. Nice.
Yeah, it's just a little something to hold my slow jams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it works so seamlessly with iTunes.
You should check out iMovie, iPhoto, iWeb, because they all work like iTunes. You know, iLife. Comes on every Mac.
iLife. Well, I have some very cool apps that are bundled with me.
Well, like, what do you got?
Calculator.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Clock. A clock.
Sounds like hours.
Yeah.
Or at least minutes.
I'll show you one more.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC. We've got a little network going here, and it was very easy to set up.
We speak each other's language.
We share our internet connection. There are all sorts of things we do together. Who's this now? What's...
Oh, this is that new digital camera from Japan. Just came out. Hajimemashite.
はじめまして。
Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Wait. You speak her language?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everything just kind of works with a Mac. Arigato.
ねえねえねえ、
Yeah.
誰のさ、オタクっぽくない？
So?
Buongiorno. Hello.
Okay, you get it. It's very entertaining. So, difference is not so much the clothing, the way you wear a tie or not a tie, and you'll see breakage of the attire in automotive space too. But it's more about mindset. It's more about freedom. It's about what you allow your developers to do and how you cherish and how much you allow decisions to go down in the organization. So typically technical companies, high-tech companies, they have flatter organization. They delegate everything down to the developers or to the architects because these are the most competent ones. Create an environment where there is a lot of automation, a lot of decision power. And developers is not just the software developers. You have tons of software architects, designers, density of such roles in education that are very scarce in the automotive space these days. So I would not say we need more developers. We need less developers, but we need the right profile and the right education of people who can design a software system and software architecture from scratch and allow people to rethink and redo the things from them. It starts also with how we and define things. If we have large-scale organization where the software or software first, where most of the complexity comes and where the transformation comes, and those people are at level 4 in a large-scale company's organization, then you know that it's too slow, it's too late until such decisions are made, and where you place such pivotal roles, all with the grading in the company. How do you do compensation for the people? Is it based on the amount of budget or an amount of people who are reporting to oneself, or the complexity and importance of the decision that each of those people are doing? And we think that you have a managerial career ladder versus individual career ladder, and then the amount of people on the individual career ladder that have an executive similar type of compensation is the same. This is something that the automotive industry needs to learn in order to make these changes happen. So it does happen to me quite often, especially in the last 1 year, that people would come to me, OEMs in particular, say, can you hire for me people? I'm saying it's not our type of business, body leasing, but there is a difficulty these days that we see that if people just say, I need 5,000 people, 8,000 people, 2,000 people, it's not so easy. It's not easy to hire the people, attract them and keep them, and it's not, and there are not so many developers out there. It's scarce. It's not just automotive industry. If you look at digitalization everywhere, all the other industries do need software developers too, computer scientists. So I truly believe we don't need more. We need the right profile and then enable them to make the necessary changes in the companies. And then move to the speed, in particular development speed, and my predecessors talked a lot about the integrations and the tooling and the change. This is a chart I'm using quite a bit because it compares complexity with productivity. And of course, the more complex is something that you manage and you own, your productivity suffers. But be careful. I believe that in automotive space, a lot of the complexity is homemade by the redo and the spaghetti code and doing things again and again, and not starting to design something from the scratch, how you're building a house. If you look at how Tesla is doing the things, they changed they did not change entirely, they touched the software architecture only once in how many years? It's 8 years almost. And this is the power of reuse and building something on top in a continuous base. It's not the lines of code that defines the complexity. It is if you truly design it from scratch with software designers and architecture, that is much more easy to maintain, to scale, to upgrade, and everything else. On the chart you see the growth of the complexity. This dark blue almost steady line shows that the productivity in the automotive space for software is not rising significantly, and this is based on how we do things, manual, repeatable. On the high-tech side, you see in the tech leaders, they're doing better, not as quickly as what we need on the complexity side, but they are significantly increasing the productivity. And how they're doing this? By automation, by integration, by not doing things 10 times, and really taking everything that is out there and existing and applying it in the software development. For sake of time, I will not go through the entire value stream, but the things that are important is cloud-first network workflows, virtualizations, microservices, scalable architecture, AI. Doesn't matter whether it's generative or not, but use whatever you can to automate the development. And there is also a recent study, also by McKinsey, that says that for fully automated tool chains, if we apply them across the industries, we can save up to 90% of effort that is needed to generate code and build code. Up to 90%. And if we get half of this, we'll be heroes if we get in these cycles. We're doing a lot of this. We're not perfect. I have lots of issues in my own company, but we are moving on this side. And this is probably one of the biggest areas for the improvement of how we build the software, but also how we teach our clients and customers how to do this as a service, and how we collaborate with them to integrate everything. And then partnerships will matter. This is where all things come together for scale, scope, and speed. I will give you now one example of one customer that we worked with. It's Sony. We built with them together the Fila car that was unveiled in January this year in the CES, in the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. It's a true software-defined approach, a car, and a showcase where somebody who is absolutely foreign to the automotive space was able to get and produce a car within 2 years on a prototype, 3 years now on the street, without knowing much of the software space. Shorten of the video, it's usually longer. So what did we do differently? What we did differently is that we started defining a vehicle, a car, from the feeling how it shall feel to the end users, not the driver. All of the people who will be driving in this car, from the user experience. And we were able to combine the experience from us, how to build software for the automotive space. And Sony, I grew up as a teenager with the Walkmans. Now my kids play PlayStation at home, and it's a company that knows quite well of how to do behavioral investigation, how to engage, how to do gadget, how to do user experience, usability in its purest space. And we co-developed the user experience concept together. We did the design of the software platform. We did the horizontal separation between the hardware and the software. We did the system design. We did the specification for the hardware. I'm not saying hardware is not important. Hardware is very important, and there is a ton of hardware innovation in this car. But the approach was very different from the top. In fact, the first car, the first production, we were doing this with CS, Content Engineering Services. Then Sony decided to go with Magna, and then they're doing a JV with Honda. So 3 times within 2 years, and we did not touch the software platform. We did not touch it. So of course we further developed it. We developed the functions. We developed the experience, but we did not redo the software platform. It's from the scratch, and this is a very different approach of how we develop things. We combined our engineers, their engineers. We had people from PlayStation who developed the PlayStation, developers, nothing to do with automotive, sit in our sprints and co-develop, because Sony wants to have developers in the car to do programming in the back seats and just not drive. Have it as a living room, as a space to do gaming, and to integrate the entire ecosystems of their empire. People believe that's yet another OEM who wants to build cars. it's a mean to expand to adjacent industry. For them, it's important to integrate the movie theaters, the streaming, the music, the content into the vehicle. This is where they monetize and get the scale. It's not the vehicle itself. So what are the key elements? This is where I bring all the things together. It's speed and flexibility. We did never sign a contract with them with 400 pages of requirements. It was really every 3 months. All together, we look at this and decide how we continue. Shall we continue? Shall we sign a new contract? I'm not doing this with anyone else is willing to work with the software partners without having the end contract. Then we have the user experience excellence from the consumer experience, from the end user, who will be the people feeling, experiencing mobility, and not so much on the driver experience. Software defined, completely on a system level. We did everything, including the hardware design, end-to-end approach with the colleagues, including the other players that are in the car who worked on the ADAS, on the cameras, on the other pieces in the software. And then it's a partnership, it's a co-creation. Believe it or not, we have never had a single escalation with this customer, although very tight schedule, a lot of emotion, a lot of changing requirements. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. But it was a partnership, a co-creation of togetherness. How do you get something where people envision and want to get in 3 years? And the last thing is, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of guts and really place it. This clicker is not working. A lot of courage to really go into different business model, in different engagement, and risk taking to make such things happen. And you can see what is doable if people are open, if you integrate the talent, if you make decision in a different way, if you decide speed is absolutely a success factor, do it together, and integrate the talent, the experience, the knowledge of everyone in the ecosystem and not just what you own yourself. And with that, I'm done.
Thank you very much, Maria Anhalt.